Hey guys, welcome to the weekly astrological forecast for this weekend, for November 25th and 26th. I'm actually going to do one episode to do it together. There's not a whole lot of information going around, and I don't really think it's enough to make a separate video for one day. So I'm just going to go ahead and clump them up together. And let's go ahead and jump right into it. So on Friday, I was talking about you guys that, if there are people that need to be cut out of your lives, you needed to do it before Lilith retrogrades. So, tonight, that is being Friday to Saturday night, I'm doing my video a little bit off this week. A couple things got in the way. So for tonight, I took that energy of the moon going over the south node. And, even right now, which I am looking at tomorrow, and it's going to be around 3 p.m. Like, even then, the moon is still very, very, very close to the south node. It's making a lot of aspects. It's still sextiling Uranus. It's still sextiling Mercury. It's still squaring Venus, and it's still trining Mars. There's still a lot of really good energy here with, in conjunct with these two signs is, it's a very powerful sign and a lot of very powerful aspects for, look, if there are people in your life that don't need to be around, they just gotta go. And in that spirit, I took to Twitter and I was going through my followings and I realized, wow, I follow a lot of people. And I began to realize that I was following people that I had followed like 4 or 5 years ago on a whim because, oh man, I'm interested in this. So I'm going to go ahead and follow these people because, I kind of want to go with the crew or something, right? And I started going through then and I'm like, I don't even understand why I follow these people. They're muted. They don't follow me back. They're not, they're just another counter in my followings. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever spoken to these people more than 2 or 3 times at most. They were just inflated numbers that didn't need to exist on my account. So I was like, you know what? Let me go through this. Let me find out who I'm really following, who I really want to support. Even if I don't talk to these people, even if I've been disconnected with a couple people, because, I'm also human and I like to keep around, people that I once followed because I was really close with them or I was really interested in their content at the time. I kept my people. But there was a lot of really just random spark moment followings for no reason. And so I just went through and I went and started cutting people from my friends list. And I was just like, you don't need to be here. You don't need to be here. I don't even know who you are anymore because I haven't spoken to you in who knows when. Right? So cut. And I just started cutting left and right, Whoosh-ah. Took one of them katanas back there and I just started cutting. And so I went down a good number of people from my followings list on Twitter. That's how I decided to use my energy to cut people out of the life that, they don't really need to be there anymore. They're inflated numbers. And who knows, in order to fill in something new, you have to cut something old out of your life. This is the significance of cutting. Maybe I didn't explain it too well last time, but a lot of people are like, Niwa, I don't understand. Why do you want me to cut people from my life? These people might be important. These are, I might need them in the future. Maybe I don't want to cut them right now. And you have to think of not, what it is that you're holding back, because think about it. A lot of these things might be baggages. You may not see that on the surface level because it's like, I don't understand you. I don't have any beef or problem. Maybe these people just, it's fine to have some sort of contact. You don't understand. La 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 la. Like, I do. But, think of it like this. Like when you go and you learn something new and then, time passes and maybe it's been a decade or 2 or more and all of a sudden, you've learned so many more things since that one time you learned that initial thing that you actually may have forgotten that one thing that you learned a long time ago. Now, a lot of people will be like, oh, well, Niwa, we're always constantly learning all the time. And so what ends up happening is you can't carry all that knowledge with you. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Or maybe sometimes people be like, well, it's not super important to remember this, but I learned it. And that's why, that I forgot it because I haven't practiced it in so long. Yeah, that could also be true. I agree with that. But I've always been more on the mindset of whatever you learn, especially if you learned it right, you don't forget it. You know, you don't. I'm the type of person who can pick up something that I haven't touched in many years and still not be terrible at it, or still remember how to do it the way that I used to do it before. So when I don't remember something, it really means that knowledge either wasn't significant enough that needed to stay with me, or maybe it was something that needed to be cut to make space to be able to learn something new, something more meaningful, something that's going to help me in the present move on to the future and not hold on to a lot of those baggages that I wouldn't serve a purpose moving forward. So in the same light, if you cut relationship ties, you're enabling space so that new relationship ties can come into your future. That's kind of what it is. Don't think of it as a physical cutting people. Obviously, you're not supposed to physically cut anyone. But like, don't think of it as, oh, well, I'll have less following and now it's like, oh no, it's not. I won't have that connection if I ever need it. No, it's cool. If you ever needed that connection, you could always come back to it. If you really needed that connection, you would have had it being used by now. But what you do is you allow the energy to allow new people into your life, because the ones that were not useful have already been cut. That's why it's important, because this is all on an energetic level. That is more significant than the actual act of cutting, right? So I went through and I cut people from my Twitter list, and hopefully this enables me space so that even on random occasions, I just might meet someone in my life that all of a sudden it's like, oh, cool, new best friend. Or, hey, look, new business opportunity partner just popped into my life. Why? Because I energetically made the space to allow these people to now be able to enter my life. So that's one thing that I've done. But again, not a whole lot to really talk about that. What I really want to kind of talk about is Sunday, because as we move, actually, even before I do that, excuse me, and notice that, it's about 3 p.m. and Lilith has not retrograded yet. So if you want to cut people, if you're watching this, on Saturday and you're like, do I still have time to cut people? Yeah, because Lilith will not be retrograding until like almost between 5 to 6 p.m. That's when, numbers go red. She starts going backwards. And, I would say this is your cutoff date right here. So, yeah, you're by 3 p.m., you're still good to cut. You can still cut. But moving along, Sunday is where most of the talk here goes into, because there's a couple things that happen. First of all, between Saturday, Sunday, the moon shifts from Aquarius to Pisces, right? And I'm taking a look at the 26th by midnight almost. So this is a little bit late, 26, but the reason I wanted to use this particular time period is because of this. The moon and Neptune are going to be conjunct. Now, you might be saying, well, Niwa, of course the moon and Neptune are going to be conjunct. It happens once every month, or, every 20, somewhere between 26 to 28 days, right? It happens every month. Like, what's the freaking problem with this? You're overreacting over nothing. Well, let me just tell you. Neptune began retrograding on June 15th. The moon has not been with Neptune in a conjunct like this since May 20th. May 20th, and currently at this moment it is November 25th. So think about that for a moment. It's been almost 6 months, because when it retrograded, the sun was in Gemini, and now the sun is in Sagittarius, which is almost a full moon energy, if you will. It's been 6 months since the moon has seen Neptune moving forward. That is significant. All right. So what did Neptune retrograding do for us as people, right? And what was the collective energy that was available to us when Neptune was going backwards? All right. So Neptune generally rules things like nervous system, dreams, fears, anxieties, veils, kind of like being connected to higher realms. It's a self-sacrificing planet. So Neptune having retrograded, what really did for us was it brought up a lot of both past in this lifetime and past life traumas and pains that we were trying to hide. Because remember, when Neptune goes direct, it puts up its veils. And it tries to, hide all of the painful stuff. When Neptune is retrograding, it exposes it because you're looking inward. You're not looking outward. When you're looking outward, you're looking at the world. You're looking at reality, if you will. When it retrogrades, we look inward, inside of us. And what we see inside of us is a lot of ugliness, a lot of things that we've been carrying, a lot of scars and wounds that have been inflicted. And so during this time period, Neptune has been showing us a lot of the pains that we had been harboring inside of us, whether they be, again, of this lifetime or previous lifetime. And we had a lot of really good seasons to be able to work on a lot of healing that needed to be done. In my own lifetime, or in my own 6 months, I was working with people during Cancer season, which, when the sun is in Cancer is a very healing sign. It's the first water sign. It's ruled by the moon. It's emotions, intuition. It's literally, the inner self. So Cancer trining Pisces, Neptune being in Pisces, and the sun and the moon transiting through Cancer was a lot of intense healing moments, right? So when we were over here, it was a lot of intense healing moments to be able to, unearth a lot of those wounds and be able to cure them, heal them, talk them out, fix them, and try to overcome and move on from a lot of the traumas and pains of our life that had happened. Then the sun came to Leo while the North Node was in Leo. And while the sun was in Leo, that was a time in which, after all that healing and all that exposition had occurred, we were kind of left a little like, yeah, I guess all of that happened. That kind of really sucked. I mean, it still kind of hurts, but doesn't hurt like it used to hurt before. I don't want this anymore, right? You get that feeling of you had to see your ugly truth and you're like, I just don't want this anymore. And so the sun in Leo was there to inspire you, because Leos are inspiration. They are light. They are love. They are they're ruled by the sun, right? So we go from a sign that is ruled by the moon to a sign that's ruled by the sun. So in Leo season, it was about inspiring yourself to go down the road that is your destiny, because again, the North Node was here. And so it was a time to be able to move forward with your life. It's time to stop looking at the past, which were revealed to us when the sun was in Gemini, heal them while the sun was in Cancer, and now inspire you to move forward when the sun was in Leo. Now, as the sun moved to Virgo, it was time to realize, right? Virgo is all about reality, whereas Pisces is all about spiritual. Leo season was all about manifesting a lot of those inspirations that you had drew in Leo season. Using that energy here, we had a lot of full moons, a lot of weird transits happening in Virgo, and Virgo took a huge hit because, you know, Neptune was retrograding on the opposite sign. So it was a lot of those, are you going to cling to the past? Are you going to cling to the pain that you had? Or are you going to, you know, take those inspirations that you got during Leo season and make them a reality during Virgo season? And hopefully you made the correct decision as you then move into Libra and you connected with what it is that you wanted to do, you know, connected with the people that you needed to know to be able to move your life forward. So during Libra, it was really all about connections, both energetically as well as relationship with others. And I don't mean romantically necessarily, but I mean connecting with others. And then once we done that, we go over to Scorpio, where we just left, right? And Scorpio was all about learning our desires, right? So it's like we were forced to see the truth. We healed from that past, but then left us a little empty, which Leo gave us the reason to continue forward because of its inspiration. We took that inspiration, made them reality by connecting with people, and now that we've connected with others, we're trying to find those desires that we have inside of us, what makes us feel intense, what allows us to move forward. Now, for a couple of us, especially, you know, those that have a lot of Sagittarius in their charts, Scorpio season was a little difficult for us because it really blinded us and left us in the dark, and it was kind of scary. A lot of us had a lot of kind of bad luck during Scorpio season. But for those of you that are ruled by Scorpio, or, you know, other signs that make really good aspects with it, such as Cancers and Pisces and a few others, Leo season was really about figuring out what it is that you desired and whether or not those desires, you know, were values that you should honor and keep, or whether your desires were misplaced and you needed to let go of that, because the sun, being ego here, was telling you that your ego has you know, corrupted desires that have no value in your life, and if that needed to be let go, then that needed to be let go. And now with the sun in Sagittarius, it's exposing us to the higher energetic realizations of what has been happening. Now we're coming into the awareness of the last 6 months, right? Not only exactly what we're trying to manifest during Scorpio season with that new moon, but it's also a time to come into realization that these last 6 months have been a massive ascension for all of us. You know, this year alone has been absolutely insane with the fire trine that had been occurring between the 3 fire signs, giving us a lot of passion, because, you know, fire is all about passion, giving us the passion to move forward with what we want to do in our lives. And that was extremely potent during Leo season, because we wanted that energy to find out where we wanted to go forward with things. And we had that North American eclipse during Leo season that gave us that huge burst of like, dude, here you go, creative energy, what do you want to do with it? Use this energy to move forward. And since then, we've been doing our very best to reach this ascension that we're at here at Sagittarius, as we become connected with higher frequencies, with higher energies. We're, you know, those of us that have taken the time to learn about astrology and connect with it these last 6 months have really been coming into higher awareness of things and realizing that the world isn't so material as Virgo would like you think, which is why we square, but it's also not as lofty as Pisces would let you believe is either, another square. So it's coming to that realization of what is real, what's not, and what has actually been happening. We're now becoming aware of the truth. So this Neptune and Moon conjunct is really about, hey, it's been 6 months since you've been working on yourself. How are you doing? Do you feel better? Take a good look at yourself in the last 6 months. How do you feel since then? Because this is important. This is important for you. And hopefully, I can only hope that you have made a bunch of improvements in that last 6 months. Unfortunately, I just began doing astrology recently. So I'm only now kind of looking back on these months, and I'm seeing like, wow, there was a lot of things that happened, and I wish I could have been covering this, but I was under the tutelage, I think it's how you say it, learning essentially about all of this stuff myself. And now I'm able to put like these pieces together and be like, yo, it's been a crazy fucking year. It's been a crazy half year, I should even say. So we're now, 3/4 done with a year, because the year begins officially on Aries, right? So we're just about almost there. And we're going to end up, the year ends on Pisces, as we move from Pisces to Aries. That's when New Year's actually occurs, not freaking December 31st, as the Gregorian calendar would have you believe. So, and the reason I say this is, one, to inform you, but also two, to let you know that Pisces is really about completions, right? So when you think of the tarot deck, you think of the World card, and the World card is the last card of the major arcana. It's the completion of a cycle that you lived through. And so the moon being in Pisces, also signifies that Scorpio new moon energy that we've been talking about. This is a completion to the things that we've set. Now, I know you might be thinking, hold on, Niwa, we're not at Taurus yet. What's happening here? What are you talking about? This is a completion. This is a completion to the seeds that we have planted. Here is where things finally, the initial stages finally end. Then during Aries, things will begin to truly manifest. And then during Taurus, we can begin harvesting them. So right now we're beginning to end phase 1 as we go into Aries, and then initiate the beginnings of phase 2. So if you're still keeping within your heart, mind, and little notepad your new moon transformation resolutions, don't stop. Make sure that you're positively moving forward with them, because phase 1 is about to come to an end, and it's pretty significant as we move forward. Definitely, especially as once again we have Neptune moon here making a trine to Jupiter, as it being the only aspect I have on screen right now. It's definitely a moment of like intense realizations. Because understanding was Aquarius. And even though you can say that coming into in being able to see things is kind of Sagittarius, Pisces is we're coming to the completion of that almost naive state before we're allowed to transcend over to the new lunar cycle. So here we're going to be aware of a lot of this like Jupiter Neptune energy, and again with Neptune going forward for the first time conjunct with the moon in 6 months, this is gonna be a big whoa. Just like whoa. I mean, I know I've been in this Pisces house every single month, and this is the first time, in 6 months that Neptune's going forward. And keep in mind that the moon in Pisces is a very interesting sign in of itself. For me, I see a lot of really changes during Pisces season. I get a lot of really vivid dreams, like holy shit. I'm not a dreamer. I usually sleep and wake up and all I saw was darkness. No, during this moon in Pisces, I get dreams and they're like, I can't tell if I was awake or if I was asleep, because everything felt like it was meshed into one. So, if you don't know about Moon and Pisces, Moon as Pisces is definitely a big dreamer, vivid dreams, very easy to zone out, very easy to just say, I don't want to do anything, because, it's the Pisces energy. It's very lazy. It just wants to chill. It just wants to sit in its comfort zone and go off in an imaginary world, a place that's beyond space and time, getting lost in that imagination. It's a moment in which you become emotionally and spiritual sensitive, or its sensitivity is at its peak, I should say, because Pisces does not understand boundaries. Have you ever had that one friend who's like constantly, like, I don't know, maybe it might be a best friend, or probably not, they're just really close and you're like, dude, personal space? Yeah, Pisces doesn't understand personal space. It doesn't understand boundaries. Pisces is the endless void, if you will. Its sight goes as far as it can see, and it doesn't have that circle around it that lets you know, hey, don't go past here, right? So you get lost in space and time, and really this is a moment in which those sensitivities really are at a peak here, and it makes it even more so because Neptune is in that sign. Pisces is also sometimes known as kind of like the collective emotion, because it is 12th house energy, and 12th house is really that which is beyond oneself. So during this time, you might see people kind of gathering together, being more charitable, caring more for one another, being more sympathetic, or being more more receptive to one another. That's the type of energy that is associated usually with Pisces, and it's even more significant because Chiron has been here for a while, and this is going to be, I believe, the final time that the moon will see Chiron retrograding. Because once the moon reaches Gemini, Chiron is no longer going to be retrograding. That's it. Now, I haven't seen the charts moving forward. I'm not aware if Chiron will retrograde again before going into Aries, but I do know that it's going to go into Aries next time, early next year. And if that's the case, this is going to be the very last time that the moon is going to see Chiron retrograding in Pisces. So, there's two big significance. Whoa, right? First time sees Neptune going direct in quite some time, and last time seeing Chiron retrograding in Pisces. It's like there's a lot of shifting energies occurring in this one sign alone. And if I've lost you in the last 10 minutes about this, I really do apologize. But it's a lot of energy in which there's a lot of things that it's like first time happening or last time happening, and it's like there's a big shift here. It's a very, very, very big shift, and that's why the significance of Aries going, or the moon jumping into Aries afterwards, is going to create that end of the first phase of that primitive level, and Aries is going to give birth to the second phase, the higher self, the higher phase of all of this before we can begin harvesting it. So, yeah. Sorry, that went a little longer than expected. Really, really did. Hopefully that made quite a bit of sense. Again, Saturday, it's just a continuation of Friday. Cut people if you need to until Lilith retrogrades. That's kind of really about it. And Sunday, there's just a lot of, the moon is kind of completing its cycle here of your new moon transformations, and it's also going to be highlighting what's happened in the last 6 months, essentially speaking. So hopefully that has helped you guys. You know, if you need to like try to understand what the hell happened, go back and listen to the video if you need to. It's quite a bit. It really is. It's quite a bit of stuff that is happening in this little short weekend, and it's like, whoa, what in the world? I didn't sign up for all of this. So yeah. Hopefully you guys, you know, stay safe, stay positive. Hopefully this was informative and useful, and I will be catching you guys on Monday with the next weekly videos. Last bit here, actually, I have finished my presentation for the basics of astrology 101. I need to sit down and record it, and I will be throwing that up real soon. So hopefully you guys are excited for that. I sure am. And yeah, you know, hopefully that's something useful. I'm trying to make a multi-part series so that I don't overbottle you guys with too much information. But we'll start off with some really basic introductions. But yeah, with that said, I'll catch you guys on the next cast. Stay safe, guys. Peace.